Inside almost any modern office, you will find two people sitting in a closed room for a mandatory 30-minute block of scheduled conversation. The one-on-one meeting has become a ubiquitous corporate ritual, yet in most cases it is quietly dreaded by the manager and the subordinate alike. Purcell Research Institute data shows a stark gap between adoption and utility. While over 55% of employees now participate in regular one-on-ones, nearly 1 in 3 report that these meetings have no positive effect on their work. The framework is heavily deployed, but the outcome is hollow. Executives typically diagnose this gap as a cultural problem. They blame the ambiguity of traditional membership-type employment and conclude that middle managers lack the interpersonal skills to communicate effectively. Companies respond with behavioral interventions, mandating seminars on soft skills like active listening, the desk method, and empathy. But this is a category error. It treats a systemic governance problem as an individual behavioral deficit. When a 30-minute dialogue consistently devolves into a defensive progress check or an awkward silence, the cause is rarely a lack of empathy. These failures are driven by hidden organizational asymmetries built directly into the reporting structure. When soft skills training masks these design flaws, the friction doesn't disappear, it accumulates as employee burnout, while the structural defects remain completely untouched. To understand how these systems break, we have to look at the primary metric companies use to justify the one-on-one: psychological safety. Corporate culture has largely misinterpreted this concept, stripping it down to a mandate to be nice or avoid conflict. In many offices, psychological safety has become a synonym for avoiding the discomfort of rigorous critique. Edmondson's framework plots psychological safety against performance standards. Most one-on-ones operate in the top left comfort zone. Safety is high, but expectations are low. Work stagnates. The goal is the top right, high safety and high standards. This learning and performance zone allows teams to endure demanding critique without fear. Removing accountability from the equation doesn't protect employees. It creates an environment devoid of ambition, where growth is replaced by mutual appeasement. This tension is most visible in highly competitive environments, specifically the agile professional firm or Big Four consulting model. These organizations are cited as the ideal benchmark for modern management. The assumption is that they have perfected continuous feedback and open dialogue. In reality, these firms operate on a strict up or out model. Junior employees are assigned a counselor, a senior mentor tasked with being the subordinate's advocate and career guide. On paper, this creates a dedicated channel to discuss project struggles without fear. But the counselor is also an evaluation agent, aggregating data to recommend promotion or dismissal. The person assigned to foster your growth is the same individual who decides your salary. Under this architecture, true psychological safety is logically impossible. If a junior employee admits a weakness or reports a toxic project leader, they are handing damaging intelligence directly to their evaluator. The counselor also faces a political incentive. If a subordinate complains about an abusive project leader, the counselor incurs a massive political cost. The safer move is to side with the leader and label the junior employee difficult. When the person assigned to guide you possesses the authority to end your employment, the one-on-one is reduced to a defensive performance. A different but equally fatal flaw appears in traditional, matrixed organizations, like heavy manufacturing or legacy enterprise firms. These organizations rely on a generalist management culture. Through routine rotations, managers are trained to be organizational coordinators rather than domain specialists. This creates the asymmetry of expertise. You frequently find a generalist manager overseeing a subordinate with highly specialized technical knowledge. Consider an IT specialist reporting to a strategic planning manager. The subordinate makes complex engineering trade-offs. In a one-on-one, the loop breaks. The manager is incapable of evaluating the technical merit of the work. Unable to judge output, they default to domain-neutral critiques. Smile more, or be humble. This behavioral policing functions as a systemic defense mechanism. It allows the generalist hierarchy to assert control over technical talent without needing to understand the underlying complexity. If a manager lacks the vocabulary to evaluate the output, they will inevitably evaluate the personality. The one-on-one becomes an exercise in behavioral submission. Both the competitive professional firm and the traditional matrix arrive at the same dead end. The safe, symmetric exchange promised by HR is an institutional illusion, blocked by the way power and expertise are distributed. A functional one-on-one requires a change in systems architecture. No amount of soft skills training can override a flaw in the reporting hardware. The primary solution is the separation of protocols. Organizations must cleanly detach the evaluation line from the developmental mentorship line. The person determining a career trajectory should not be the one hearing vulnerabilities. Second, reporting lines must be drawn based on expertise. Technical output must be routed to leads who possess the domain knowledge to judge the work. Until these foundational governance structures are rebuilt, investments in assertive communication seminars or empathy workshops are a waste of capital. Organizations must stop demanding that managers become better listeners in systems designed for deafness. Honest dialogue only survives when the operational architecture is built to support it.